Well, welcome, Laura. I'm delighted to have you be a part of this afternoon's conversation, and wanted to welcome you and Camp Stomping Ground to Saratoga Springs. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you for having us, Leslie. That's wonderful.
So, Camp Stomping Grounds is this amazing new place that is right down Middle Grove Road and has been such a delight to discover. How did you and how did Camp Stomping Ground get to Saratoga Springs?
So the program itself was started in 2015, and we rented property just outside of Binghamton, New York, for about the first 5 years that we ran camp. And in 2020, we found the camp on Boyhaven Road, and we went up to see it. And my co-founder Jack and I were just like astounded by the beauty of the place and the connection to the community and its location. And we thought, boy, this is the dream. Like, this is everything we've been hoping for in terms of how to really launch the program and have it have a permanent home. And then the pandemic hit. And so it was, it was pretty wild. But we actually ended up going through with it. Wouldn't recommend purchasing a property that needs a lot of help and renovation right at the beginning of in March of 2020. But there was some silver linings in there as well. We weren't able to run camp in 2020 during that summer, but we had volunteers and staff come through, and we renovated the property. And then this past summer, 2021, we ran our first summer program at the new site, and it was wonderful. A real dream come true.
It's quite the trajectory. Tell us about your program, because this is not just your typical camp for kids.
Yes, so our mission is to inspire the next generation of radically empathetic decision makers. And what we
Yes.
believe is that kids really, and everybody really, learns best how to make decisions by making them rather than always by following directions.
Mm.
And so in our space, we try and give kids as much autonomy and as much control over the schedule of the day, kind of who they hang out with, and how they design their own experience within camp. The reason camp is called Stomping Ground is the idea that every kid needs a place, a stomping ground, to go out and be in the like old neighborhood, to be outside with friends until the street lights come on, and have some of that unstructured play and freedom that our culture today, I think, is missing. So that was the original idea behind Stomping Ground. How can we give kids this freedom and this autonomy and this ability to kind of learn how to make decisions by making them? But the real crux of our program, and where we come to radically empathetic decision makers, is that in any community, and camp for sure, there is inherent conflict in how we interact with each other. And so at Stomping Ground, instead of shying away from conflict or being ashamed by the conflict that we experience with other people when there's a disconnect, we lean into it, and we try and see conflict as an opportunity for connection and innovation. And we employ some restorative practices and restorative justice techniques to sort stuff out. And that's where a lot of the programming and a lot of the curriculum comes from.
Really rich way of helping to nurture and cultivate this next generation. They're needing it. Am I remembering that the genesis of all of this really was came out of a need that you saw in the Rochester area? Is that
We
where
are
it started?
we are very connected to the Rochester community. A lot of our current staff, some of our year-round team, and Jack and I are both from Rochester originally. We have some pretty solid partnerships with the Rochester City School District. And we have kids who have come through the program for its entire existence. But one of our really big focuses over last year and now this year is to try and connect with the local community here in Saratoga, and how to build some of those same partnerships with community organizations and the school districts in the capital region.
How's that going? And nothing
It's
like
wonderful.
coming into a new area in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes. Yes. It was a bit of a slow start. I will be honest. I think, like, everybody being kind of isolated and disconnected and afraid to interact for that year and a half. We're just now starting to really sink our teeth into like what we can maybe provide or how we can connect with other community organizations. But I feel so lucky at the same time, like the place that we're in right now, or it feels so serendipitous to be connected with MLK Saratoga, Create Studios, Scene, BLM Saratoga, the Franklin Community Center, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Albany. We've got all these kind of community organizations and partnerships coming together, not only to send kids to camp during the summer, but also to organize events and things for the rest of the year.
Wow, that's exciting. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to hear all this bridging that's happening for you. I'll share with the audience that Camp Stomping Ground invited MLK Sarah Kotoga to show up at an autumn festival. We didn't even know that you were here. And we walked, it was like walking into another world. And I've got the hair up on my arm. It was just a very exciting and gratifying reflection of what is happening out in the world, and that there's these changes that are happening, and the next wave of leadership coming up and creating space, holding place, building internal infrastructure as well as the external. So this last summer, you had a pretty full crowd, and you had kids that came from that were here from Philadelphia and New
Yeah,
York and
we have
Rochester.
about 100 kids at camp at a time. We're looking to grow our capacity a little bit. This summer we'll have a few more in our teen programs, but yeah, 100, 150 kids at a time at camp. And then they stay for 2 weeks at a time. Most of our kids come from, again, the capital region around this area, also New York City, Philly, up and down the East Coast, Boston. We have some kids that come from Boston. And then there's a handful of kids who have either moved out of town or have cousins out of town who bring them in. So we have a smattering of kids from all over the country, and actually all over the world too, who come in just for camp.
My goodness. Wow, that is exciting. Laura, where do you see the next steps for you? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, I think that now that we have this property, it's such an awesome asset to be able to dream with and about. I think that people who come onto camp, kind of like you were describing, you just kind of feel like, wow, more is possible in this cool space, and being so close to the Saratoga community and the Middle Grove community. But I think over the next few years, we're hoping to continue to renovate the property and rebuild some of the infrastructure that's there. There's a gorgeous 1830s farmhouse right at the beginning of camp, and we're currently talking with some architects and engineers, and hoping to gather some community support to rebuild that building, as well as build maybe a day camp program in the future, or some other things to really connect with the folks here in town.
I did get a peek at your dining hall.
Mhm.
Is it called anyway? It just light filled, and the colors are fresh and vibrant everywhere, and it is an extraordinary piece of property. Really a gift, particularly for young people who don't get to stomp on the ground, literally, to really feel their connection. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
powerful, pretty powerful.
It's pretty awesome how kids come into the space too and just really find some ownership in there. This is their home. This is the thing that they get to come back to. It's their stomping ground, and I think that that's pretty special to be able to give kids.
Do community people have a way to support you or show up and volunteer? You've got a gorgeous website. That just curious, how can we help send people your way?
Oh man, we have 3 volunteer weekends coming up this spring, and would love some folks to come out. It's going to be all kinds of things from clearing trails around camp to doing some like basic carpentry work, painting things. Organizing things, getting ready for the summer. So we can always use help on those volunteer weekends. If you're interested in coming to camp to volunteer, shoot me an email or head to our website. My email is laura@campstompingground.org. The other thing, two more ways to kind of help out. One is we're always looking for supplies and materials, whether that be maybe old costumes that you have lying around. We do a lot of imaginative play with costumes and pretend play. And like just materials and things. So like old arts and craft supplies, old paint, wood that is just sitting in your garage, tools, things like that. We're always looking for people to kind of donate goods as well. And then the last thing is if you have or if you know anybody who's interested in helping to kind of push us into the future, whether that be helping us to renovate the White House or visioning with us, dreaming with us about what future villages will look like on property or the day camp program, I'd love to talk to you more about what that looks like.
Lots of entree points for us
Mhm.
to welcome Camp Stomping Grounds to Saratoga Springs. I am personally really delighted you are here and really excited to see what's next on your journey, and make sure you keep us in the loop. We could figure out how to add your volunteer days onto our calendar so that we can
Cool.
share that. Thank you, Laura. We wish you an extraordinary new year, bringing lots of this great new young energy up here, and our new leaders, for the coming years. We need them. We need their voices. We need yours. Thank you
Thank you.
very much, and best wishes in all that you do.
Thank you.
To be continued.